Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Gunpla video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the high-grade Destiny Gundam Spec 2 and Zeus Silhouette. Probably the most over-the-top looking kit from the Mobile Suit Gundam SEED Freedom movie. So what we've gotten here is a Destiny Gundam, the Zeus Silhouette, and they can both combine into an absolutely ridiculous, huge, over-the-top Mecha model kit. Anyway, as usual, this video right here would not have been possible without those phenomenal people over at HobbyLink Japan, so if you do want one of your own, I'll throw a link down there in the description. Now let's get this behemoth built. So yeah, I wasn't actually expecting this popping in the door today. Well, I did expect it to pop in the door today, I just didn't expect it popping in time to actually be the kit that I'm doing today. So I'm going to build this right here. I didn't think I'd be building two absolutely giant high grades day after day, but this is even more giant by the looks of things. Thankfully though, I assume we're not going to end up with like a million extra leftover parts inside of this. So is this the older, and by older Destiny, I mean the one that came out a few years ago, yeah, the 2019 Destiny Gundam. If you want to see a review of that, I do have one here on the channel. I remember it being absolutely and utterly excellent, but it might actually predate the current tier system, so I'm not sure exactly what it got. In my mind, it's probably like gold or something like that, but actually, I should check. Yeah, it does seem like I did give it gold tier back then, and that was as high as the tiers went, because we didn't have platinum, or should I say Gundarium tier, until the real grade Sazabi came out. Whoa, that is a lot of plastic. It's going to be a lot of building. So yeah, we've an absolutely colossal amount of plastic in here, so yeah, it seems like there's going to be two aspects to this build. Of course, that is the high-grade Destiny Gundam from 2019 and the brand new Zeus Striker. This right here is the manual, so it's your usual kind of Gundam SEED manual. You've got the box image just up there on top. You've got your blurbs about the mobile suit itself as well as the pilot. Around on the back then, we've got all the images of what this will look like finished. So it's shown we've got the Destiny Gundam, the Wings of Light, both the giant beam sword and the giant beam cannon, the Palma Fiocina. It seems like you've pretty much got everything from the 2019 Destiny in here. So if you've never managed to get your hands on that kit, well, you've got the whole thing in here with the Zeus Striker. There is the list of runners. There are so many, a lot of different colors and a lot of different parts. Thankfully, there is a Z on any of the Zeus Striker parts, so it'll be easy to organize your desk out for it. And it seems like the build is Destiny, then the Zeus, followed by the combination of them both. Yeah, so it seems like all the weapons from the standard Destiny kit are in here. I'm really looking forward to this Zeus Striker. And overall, I suppose, let's get it built. So jumping right on now into the build, and first off, we've got a leg. I built one already, so I can kind of get a gist of what it's like. Even though I did build this kit back in 2019, it's been quite a while. I remember this kit having phenomenal articulation. Well, the heel just fell off, but that's okay. There are a couple of mold lines like down here and up on the thigh, but otherwise very nice with some incredible part separation. Let's get it built. So first off, I will mention this kit does have polycaps in it, so that does mean this is not a SEED action system kit like all the rest we saw so far. This is just a rehash of the still fantastic 2019 Destiny. And before I forget to mention it, it's in a completely muted color compared to that one. This is not in your regular Gundam white, it's in light gray, and every other color is muted accordingly. So yeah, even though there is the full set of polycaps in this kit, there are only two polycaps actually used in the leg. The first is here for the ankle joint. I popped on the heel, it did click into position, but it did pop off again, so the heel's a bit funny here. We've got a toe bend aspect when you attach the front onto the back of the foot. Some armor pops on, you build up the ankle armor as two separate bits on a hinge, and it pops into the foot just like so. Foot complete. Next up, we've got a kind of semi-typical kind of knee. It does not have a bottom joint, it's just the single one and then a hole for a simple joint below. The simple joint in question is just this peg right here, squeezes on like that. A nice moving thruster section in the back of the leg. This section pops in here. The second polycap in this is down here in the ankle, so both polycaps are in the ankles, and then you just sandwich this on like so. Nice, clicky, perfect build. A little pop of color, somewhat muted color in this blue section, and nice bit of front armor pops on here, which means you don't get any of those unsightly, I should say, front seams. Top armor pops up like so. This is a fully enclosed part, so that does mean we've got a pretty wicked mold line up top. Bandai opted for fully plastic joints up here. Even though this is shaped like a polycap, it's not a polycap. I actually wish Bandai would release a set of non-polycap polycaps in plastic as an option set, so you could retrofit older kits with some plastic joints if you wanted to. Finally then, this just pops in the top like that, and the foot then pops in just like so. There goes that heel again. That heel is a bit of a pain in the arse. And there we go, a pair of grey Destiny legs. Next up, moving on to the waist unit, and there really isn't a whole lot to say about this. It's average as average can be. A bunch of parts attached together. There is no moving aspect to the hip joints, so no dropping, no nothing like that. They are fixed in position. All the parts then layer up onto it. Butt flap is fixed in position too, which is a little bit on the sad side. Nice color separation on the crotch with the blue and the red parts. I did separate the front skirting armors. It didn't make them loose at all. And the side skirtings have some nice color separation too, and they pop onto those old style hinge-esque polycaps. And this right here is what we get in the end. So yeah, this is pretty bog standard. The only thing that's kind of interesting is we do have these hinges which allow these to move backwards. I'm not sure exactly, how well that will work when the body's actually attached on, but they are there. These get nicely out of the way for the legs, so might as well slap the legs on. So there we go at leg number 1, nice fit, and leg number 2. So there we go, getting through it quite quickly too. So moving on to the torso now, and I feel like I may have to walk back something I said a little while ago. Anyway, first off, there is the neck section. We've got a bit of red color. Plastic neck, so it is not using a polycap. So there we go, looking good. So the thing I have to walk back is this right here. I said this doesn't have the SEED action system. I just assumed it didn't because it was in the newer kits, but this may have been the precursor, or should I say the prototype of said system, because these so far to me look like the shoulder joints exactly. Anyway, continuing on, we've got some nice layering in the chest, done from a big gray section that pops in from underneath. Oh, this is so nice to build compared to that thing I built yesterday. Everything just fits, oh, so perfectly nice. Also, this kit right here does prove that Bandai can make very nice red plastic when it wants to, because the red plastic on this is very almost matte finished, soft and premium feeling. And it catches the light beautifully compared to, again, what we saw yesterday, which was the Barzam 2. The articulation in the waist is a C-clip that pops in like that. And then the rear armor just closes everything off right here in the back. So there we go. There is the torso. Oh wait, one final step, which is this nice white stripe of color separation on either side of the chest. That is so much nicer than something like a sticker. That looks like sheer perfection. Get that attached on. And there we go. So we've got a nice ab crunch. I always remember that being so cool. Anyway, looking good so far. So moving on through it now, and next up we've got the arms. So this is the arms once they're finished. So we've got a nice shoulder up here. The regular old rotation at the upper arm. We also do have rotation down here as well, which is a little weaker than up here, so it's more likely to turn than up there. And there is that bicep flex. Overall, pretty standard, but at the same time, well, a little bit more. Very nice. We've got a beam boomerang up in the shoulder as well. And again, the color separation is nice, and the colors are very good. As for the build of this, it still seems like it's a proto SEED action system, so there are no polycaps in the shoulders either on this kit. Just this plastic cup joint for the shoulder. This then pops into the shoulder just like that. So even though it is mounted into the shoulder, well, its articulation is not entirely ruled by the shoulder. Next up, we've got this little section here. It looks like a little bit of a keyhole slot. Maybe you can remove the upper section of it if you want that to be a kind of rotating piece, maybe. Not gonna try it, just gonna go with the simple straight build. There we go, that's the shoulder complete. And then the beam boomerang can be stored inside of it just like that. Next up, the elbow joint is a double jointed joint. So we've got the bottom section like so, upper section like that. This bit locks it all together like so. And now we're moving on to the armor bit. So we do have a polycap wrist in here. It pops in the bottom like so. And the forearm armor is the usual kind of SEED style. So it just pops on up onto it like that. This bit we just pop the polycap in, goes on like that. Then it's bicep armor, hand, shoulder, back of hand armor. And if I remember correctly with this kit, we only have 2 of these little yellow sections which attach into the back of the hands, but we do have multiple back of hands. And that was kind of a little bit of a kind of funny aspect for me that they didn't just include 2 more little yellow pieces of plastic. The arms then just attach onto the Destiny just like that, and then like that. So that's the full body of the Destiny complete. All we've left now is the wings and the head. Then that attaches into 2 sides of a backpack like that, and the other part pops on over it just like so. So this little section can move up and down ever so slightly. Then the top section just pops on like that. The joints that attach the wings are in the exact same shade of plastic as the wings themselves. The wings in here are predominantly in red. This subsection of 3 fanned wings is just one piece. It attaches on like that. Next bit sandwiches on top, holding that all in. It does move. Again, there is a little tab piece here that stops it from moving any further. So I think that might be a hidden mod if you want to cut that out to get more out of it. This then attaches into the wing like so. A bit of color separation in that sea of red, which is the thrusters inside of the wings. Finally, you sandwich that together like that with another bit of color that locks all of that into position. Getting the wings attached on then is just pegs into hole like so, and the exact same on the other side like that. So yeah, looking good so far. Lastly then, we have the storage aspects for the weapons. It's just peg into a hole with a simple little arm, and that arm then connects onto this ball joint up here like that. So we've got one to attach on to both sides like that. And that's a complete. This kit does have the standard backpack adapter, but as you can see, the neck does stick out a little bit there, which may affect it attaching onto some other kits, but the backpack seems quite simple, so that should be fairly compatible with other kits. Anyway, there we go. Wings on, and the Destiny is almost complete. So next up onto the head, and this is a very classic, simple, high-grade head. First off, you throw the muzzle onto the red section just like so, and then the eyes are on a separated section that is in a light green. There are stickers needed at this point. That is stickers for the eyes, which are pretty much required. As for the head camera, you could leave it in the plastic green if you wanted to, but there is a green foil in here as well to get that nice reflective finish. You pop that then into the front of the head. The front of the head attaches onto the back of the head, leaving that classic old massive seam up the side. Also, we don't have anything like color separated Vulcans or anything like that. This is extremely simple. Then it's just center of the V-fin, onto the head, and you're done. So yeah, as far as Gundam model kit heads goes, this is definitely on the plain side. The non-color separated Vulcans and all that stuff is not great. The big seam too. Would have been nice if maybe we got an updated head for this kit to bring up to modern standard, but I suppose if that would add more price to it, would we really want that? Anyway, that is all there is to the Destiny then. The head just pops onto the body just like so, and there it is complete. The same as we would have seen before, just in a nice new muted color. That is absolutely awesome and dynamic. From here on out, it's all of the accessories. We've got the beam rifle, which is very nice. One color, but made out of a whole bunch of parts. Next up then, we've got the Arendite beam sword, which actually shocked me that it's fully in white with a little bit of gray. I'm so used to seeing these in powder blue that I'm shocked by it. It does have a transforming gimmick in it, which is always nice. We have the beam cannon too, in green as we usually sort of see. Again, we've got a transforming gimmick section in the middle, and it builds up pretty much exactly the same as the sword, but slightly different. But pretty much the same. We've got a nice shield with an opening and closing gimmick to it as well. Again, lots of nice colors in this. Simple, but extremely effective. And finally, then we do have 2 hands for using with the widespread kind of blasting look for the Palma Fiocina. We've got 2 of these, but only 1 beam blasting effect. We also have a beam shield as well, but it doesn't actually have any kind of, well, building to it. That right there is what it looks like. Simple again, but effective. Catches the light extremely nicely. So next up in here, we've got a whole runner of effect parts. This again is from the original 2019 Destiny kit. So if you get that kit, you get this in it as well. Yes, I am breaking one of the golden rules of the God Hand. I am cutting out clear parts with it. You're not meant to do that. And these are those rigid style clear parts. These are not rubbery like beam sabers or some other wings of light that are out there. These are nice and rigid, and I prefer the feel and look of these personally. Okay, so right now we've got Destiny and its accessories finished. So far, this is an extremely nice looking kit. Again, it's the exact same as the standard Destiny with a bit of a color shift. The V-fin has been changed as well. It's now in a kind of matching gray to the rest of the suit, which is something I definitely like. I love a matching V-fin, like the Exia or the Ariel. Anyway, put them on over here for now. And we have a whole new pile of runners, which is essentially like another build, a full-on extra build. It's, well, a bigger pile of plastic than we saw before. The Pieces are a little bigger, so maybe it won't take as long. We do have 2 action bases included in here. These are the action base 7. So these are the newer style ones with a lot more kind of strength to them, but they're a lot more flexible and posable than what we would have seen with the, say, 4 or 3, which kind of had to, had set increments in the way you could pose it. Anyway, let's get started. Okay, so jumping right on into it, and so far, so fun. I love kits that have massive parts. It really does feel like it's been a long time since Bandai released something that's akin to a mobile armor or something similar. A lot of times when you're buying one to build, they tend to feel a little on the dated side. This feels good so far. We've got a couple of these little fin sections for on the side, locking these pieces together. And when I say there are some big parts in this kit, I mean there are some big parts, and it feels like you're getting places really quickly. So it is kind of hard to kind of envision just how big this will be when finished, so I'm incredibly excited. But yeah, so far the build up is nice. There seems to be a little bit of asymmetry to this aspect right here, and this just keeps getting larger and longer, and everything just slides together so smoothly. So that's 1 page done so far. So the first part we're going to be building in here is the main body of what is the high energy beam rifle. Now, I didn't actually voice this while doing it because what is there really to say? This is just a series of elements that keep building up. It's large pieces on top of large pieces on top of large pieces. For the most part, there isn't really any articulation on it. We've got one swinging little bit underneath. That is it. Just builds up and builds up and builds up and builds up. It's really enjoyable. All the pieces are nice and large, smoothly slot in where they need to go to, and it just works out fantastically. The highlight of it for me was the fact that you build a giant ammo magazine. At least it's giant by Gundam standards or gunpla standards. You slot that into it, finish everything off just like so. And then this right here is what you've got. It is a cross between a weapon and almost looks like something out of Star Wars. That is ridiculous. The ammo magazine definitely does it for me. It's just kind of ridiculously hilarious, just popping out the top there. So that is, well, a segment of what we're building, and we've got a few more segments to go. Armor section pops on the end. This part still has a little bit of movement. Tiny piece then attaches in and locks that together. 2 white side sections attaching on like that and like so. Some black sections which appear to be little hatches maybe. Another one then pops onto the other side like that. There is a little bit of a quick release kind of button to the sides of these for removing them, so they must come off again. Next up, we build some tiny little missile hatches. That's what it's like inside, so it's not fully color separated. You'll have to detail that up. And then we've got these segments that attach on up top. These are like opening little doors. Another one attaches onto the bottom like so. That's them open. That is them shut. And these attach onto the side. So we do have 2 of these little guys. One there and one there. So these can pivot forward and back like so. What I can only assume is some kind of targeting sensor or similar pops on like so. I'm guessing, yeah, I can see now. I thought this was kind of a ball joint at first. That is not a ball joint. That funny little bit right there, that needs to be nipped off. Next up then we've got a little ring section which attaches around that just like so. And there we go, 1 more segment complete. Those colors are great. So for the first time in a while here, we're building 2 of something. So there's 2 of this particular bit. This section right here is a moving arm section. So this is where it pivots. Again, this is an incredible color. When I saw this kit first, I thought this was a gold, just picking up really, really badly on camera. I didn't actually realize that it's a very, very unique kind of yellowy green. We've got this bit of armor that builds up just like this. That part we just built attaches in, slides into position, so we got this little bit of an arm. Next up, we've got this little section right here. You have to build 2 of these as well, but they are asymmetrical, and we've got a little bit of yellow detail for up on this section, just like that. Finalizing that with a little bit of white that pops in from the side. So now we assemble these onto a core center part. That's 1, 2, 3, and finally a 4th one right there, just like that. Another element finished. Next up, we build an arm out of this cool green color, Basically, it's just a bunch of parts that attach together to make a hinge, another kind of hinge, and another kind of hinge. You've got a locking mechanism, which is one of those keyhole style ones. You pop it in, turn it to lock it in position, and then when you have this all done, it attaches onto that element we just finished. So now jumping on to some winged sections, and this is basically some little jointed aspects that pop into a little couple of segments and get sandwiched in just like so. We've got some white moving parts on a C-clip hinge. We've also got another white section for over on this side just like so. Almost crab clawy, I'm assuming it's a thruster. A little bit of a splash of colors now added into the mix of this red section right here, pops in underneath like that. And then that's added onto the part we were just working on for that sort of effect. And with these, you do build two of them. Kind of look like spanners. So this section right here does have two ways of building it. Basically, there's a left and a right, and you just flip this little Mario looking pipe depending on which way it's going to be facing. So we're working on one of them. This right here is what a finished one looks like. So that's the little section that I just built. This really has a white base kind of feel to it, or am I thinking Argamma? Or maybe it's just a straight up Archangel. It has that kind of ship, battleship kind of vibe. From here, a lot of this is exactly the same as the other side, so you pop this little section on. Another bit of that green detailing right here, that definitely looks like a thruster. We've got some more missiles in here. This missiled section attaches on in like that, clicks on in very, very satisfactorily. This section then covers it up like that. These then pop on like that, snap on very, very nicely, one on each side, so we have two per wing. And speaking of that wing, that then slots in a very interesting kind of way, like circles on into it like that. Another piece for on the other side just closes onto it. A little bit difficult to get fully closed due to the unusual design. There we go. And some more color going onto the edge of the wing with this little part just like that. Then we grab this section. You can probably tell where we're going from here. And that then just pops in there like that, and attaches into that section that we just built. That's not fully tightened up. So yeah, it pops on in there just like that. That's a nice big section. Exactly the same, but just the reverse on the other side. There we go. At this point now, it's welcome to the production line, motherfucker, because that's about what you're gonna do. It's not as bad as some production line builds, but you're making 3 of the barrels for this particular kit. You have to cut them all out. They are undergated, which means they take a little longer to clean up. You can use your nipper or use a blade to clean these out. They can cause some little nasty gaps if you don't get them done just right, but it all seemed to work out quite well in the end, even though I didn't, well, spend too much time cleaning them. Then you've got to build up the barrels. 2 of them are identical, one is slightly different but builds up in the exact same way, and let's just build one and see how it goes. So we got a green bit which attaches into this black bit, just like that. Another green section then attaches in. You can't put anything in wrong because there's little guidelines, plastic bits, D-shaped pegs and stuff like that, so you can't make any mistakes, thankfully, even if you're kind of not looking at the instructions when it comes to the second and third one. For example, if you take a peek in the end of this right here, you can see there's a bit on the top there, lines up with the end of this, so there's no other way to put it in. You can't build Gunpla really wrong much anymore. A barrel section attaches into the top of this. This one right here is the special one, so there's a little bit more building to this one. The other 2 are just essentially kind of duplicates of this with less going on. So basically then you just attach this little piece in there, and these ones kind of come with that bit already on them. This is the only one that has that removable. Next we've got this little bit that just attaches in here and slides like so, and then this whole thing pops onto the end of the barrel just like that. Actually, this end looks like the business end. This looks like the whatever attachment end. So this is then used to attach them all together. So you pull on another one. It just slides on like that. A bit of deja vu when you're doing it again like so. And finally then that just pops on and that attaches on, so you have them tiered pretty much like that right there. So finally getting near to the end of this absolutely crazy high grade build. This part clicks in like so. Some more bits that still kind of look like various shapes. This does look like one of those sliding mechanisms from the barrels. Finally turning on to the last couple of pages, and yeah, this definitely does slide onto the top of this barrel here. Alright, coming towards the end still, we've got this little black section that attaches into the end of this. Again, looking similar to the barrels we've built so far. This section then just attaches on over this like so. All the fits on this kit are so nice, fit great. This right here I'm assuming is the cockpit section of this particular unit. A little bit of black detailing attaching in from below. Some gray for the side and this side too. And then finally we've got this, which is kind of a little handle section for attaching onto the side of it a little later on when you do combine both things together. Alright, so finally getting this beast put together. Here's the main aspect of it. Again, absolutely massive. This little section attaches in here. Oh, that slid in very easy. Flipping around to the bottom now, and we'll be attaching this bit in. There's two C-clip kind of joint segments, one for each side. Try and line them up just right. I got one click. There is the second click. And then this bit slides up inside of this bit. Nice and neat. Next up then we've got the wings. This one attaches onto this side like that. Nice little click to it. Oh, there's a bit of articulation. That's nice. This one then clicks in identically into the other side. There we go, coming together. And finally this cockpity looking part attaches right on into the front, just like that right there. And wow, that is pretty large. It's weird for me to say that it's a little smaller than I thought it might end up being, but otherwise it's extremely, extremely detailed. That's nice. There is the Destiny for comparison. So I did expect it to be mildly, if not about 50% larger than it actually is. So still cool. Very cool. I suppose we'll see what exactly it's like when it's popped onto the Destiny. The last thing then we have in here is a pair of Action Base 7s. Now, these are really growing on me. One thing I always used to kind of sigh a little bit when building a new kit is when they do have an included Action Base 3 or 4, they take a long time to build, and what you get in the end I don't even use because they're only good for display, not good for really play. Getting them into poses on them doesn't really work, but these are great. They're really posable and they build up super, super fast. So you got yourself a couple of stands in next to no time. They build up so smartly, so quickly, that once you actually know how to put them together, you can blast a load of them out. So if you're looking for something for all over your shelves, these are nice. Nice so far. I like it. So anyway, that right there is it for the build. We've got the Destiny with those full burst wings. We've got that massive silhouette pack. For the full review, make sure to come back. I will be doing that as soon as possible, hopefully tomorrow. I cannot wait to see this Zeus Silhouette on the actual Destiny and see how big of a kit we actually get in the end. Anyway, if you do have any questions for that review, drop them down there in the comments, and I will see you tomorrow. Once again, I kind of finished this video right here without special thanks to the channel members and the patrons over on Patreon, including Simon Paskin, Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Joe, RG59061, ShadowWolf179, Van Fawn, and Scotty Thomas.